कूल फैंस के स्टाइलिश डिजाइन से घर को सुंदर बनाएं। 5 स्टार BLDC कूल फैन से बिजली भी बचाएं।
समय आ गया है घर के पंखे बदलने का और कूल फैंस घर लाने का।
Congrats यार। Rats, तू क्या करेगी?
I've cleared my exams. मैं म्यूचुअल फंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर बनूंगी।
म्यूचुअल फंड्स डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर। स्कोप क्या है इसमें?
MFD में स्कोप अनलिमिटेड है। शुरुआत के सालों में मैं जितनी मेहनत करूंगी, जितने कस्टमर्स बनाऊंगी, उतना ही फ्यूचर में मेरा भला होगा। आप भी मेरी तरह म्यूचुअल फंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर बन सकते हैं। जानिए कैसे mfdkarenshuru.com पर। तो करें शुरू।
Experience recrafted luxury with the BMW 6 Series Gran Turismo. Drive home your BMW at rupees 64,999 per month at a low interest rate of 6.99%.
Welcome back. You are watching Republic TV. Now, India has, of course, produced yet another outstanding performance to defeat New Zealand by 70 runs and advance straight into the World Cup finals, where they will face either Australia or South Africa. After batting first, the side amassed an enormous 397 for 4 in 50 overs and bowled New Zealand out for 327 in 48.5 overs.
Kohli's Virat show at the Wankhede Stadium, followed by Mohammad Shami's lethal 7-wicket haul, powered India to the final of ICC World Cup 2023. Beating New Zealand by 70 runs in a mouth-watering semi-final clash, Daryl Mitchell's vigilant knock of 134 runs came up short against Shami's lethal spell. As the Indian pacer led India's effort in the field to help the hosts seal a place in the Sunday's final, the hosts, who have been unbeaten in the tournament so far, reached their first ODI World Cup final since 2011. Kohli's superb 50th record century followed the Indian opener's scorching start as the tournament hosts got off to a flying start in Mumbai. To chase down 398, New Zealand needed something exceptional. They got off to a good start with Devon Convoy and Rachin Ravindra going on the offensive in the power play overs. However, Mohammad Shami gave India a big breakthrough. As he removed Conway for 13 runs, Shami was at it again, this time sending Ravindra back to the hutch for 13. A strong combination between Daryl Mitchell and Kane Williamson offered the Black Caps hope of breaking the mark. With Mitchell getting a battling century and Captain Williamson hitting 69 to lay the groundwork for his team, the pair continued to build, adding 181 for the third wicket before Williamson fell for 69, once again to the returning Shami. Fans across the country celebrated Team India's victory over New Zealand in the semi-finals of the ICC Cricket World Cup. Prime Minister Modi has congratulated team on their victory. BCCI President Roger Binney has also congratulated team for their efforts.
It's been a tremendous run by the team, winning all the games with such authority. They really play good cricket and we're looking forward to the final. We definitely have a good chance, I mean, the way we've been performing. So we look to see who's going to come to the final now.
Bureau Report, Republic TV.
And operating in the heart of Gaza, the IDF finds evidence that Hamas hid weapons in Gaza's Al-Shifa hospital and other places.
हॉस्पिटल में एडमिट हुए नहीं कि बिल का मीटर चालू, और ये मीटर पहले आपके ऑफिस का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस खत्म करेगा और फिर सारी सेविंग्स। पर घबराओ नहीं, पॉलिसी बाजार पे 1 करोड़ का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 390 रुपए महीने से शुरू। ले लो।
कुछ मेरा, कुछ तुम्हारा।
इसलिए ग्रीन लैम लैमिनेट्स, सपने आपके, लैमिनेट्स हमारा। अमेजिंग स्पेसेस के लिए कुछ मेरा, कुछ तुम्हारा।
अंदाज़ तेरा अपनों से गहरा, the taste of India। साथ है तेरा, साथ हमेशा, the taste of India। तुझसे ही मान हमारा, तुझसे ही शान है, तू ही तो है देश हमारा, तुझसे ही स्वाद है, the taste of India।
Eat it on time and please ride the bike slowly.
Okay.
And this is for your safety.
Arey, I almost forgot.
LIC.
This is for our safety. दिल की सुनो।
LIC चुनो।
LIC हर पल आपके साथ।
डायनासोर का अंडा। Oh, damn! World War I की एंटीक गन। Oh, damn! फिर दीवार तोड़ो, फिर बनाओ।
बर्जर डैम स्टॉप लगा। इसका नैनो सिलिकॉन टेक्नोलॉजी चढ़ा वाटर प्रूफिंग का कवर, जो बिना दीवार तोड़े डैम रिपेयर करे। बर्जर डैम स्टॉप।
नो झंझट, डैम स्टॉप फटाफट।
With 49 studios, Woodfill has revolutionized the Indian modular kitchen industry by bringing the best of Europe for Indian homes. Visit the nearest store for a new design and a quote.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand.
And here's a quick recap of our top international news. President Joe Biden says progress has been made between the US and China over their relationship. The External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar slams Canada, asks Trudeau to provide evidence in support of allegations. And the IDF finds evidence that the Hamas hid weapons under the Al-Shifa hospital. India stormed into the World Cup finals by beating New Zealand by 70 runs. And man of the match, Mohammad Shami, shines through bags 7 wickets. Well, on the 42nd day of the ongoing conflict, the Israel Defense Forces have uncovered additional evidence pointing to the utilization of hospitals by Hamas. The IDF has displayed evidence of hospitals being used by the Hamas as operational bases and storage sites for explosives and weapons.
Expanding the ground operations in Gaza, Israel has completely exposed Hamas to the world. In a footage released by Israel's military, a children's hospital can be seen used by Hamas as terror hideouts.
I want you to see this room. It's in the basement of the hospital. We can see this area is a closed area from the rest of the hospital. We can see the ventilation air that was done improvisedly to this area. And we can see infrastructures that was built in here, toilets, shower, a small kitchen, will provide the terrorists their needs.
Not only did they use hospitals as their terror infra, but also kept some of the around 240 hostages.
You're now entering into the room where we suspect the hostages were being held. I want you to look at this room. People are putting curtains with nothing above, just wall. No reason to put here a curtain unless you want to film hostages and deliver movies. And now we'll show you more evidence. In this room, there is a list. This list, in Arabic, this list says we are in an operation, the operation against Israel. started in the 7th of October. This is a Guardian list where every terrorist writes his name and every terrorist has his own shift guarding the people that were here.
The findings by Israel have come out as major proof against Hamas and their plans to organize full-blown attack on Israel.
I want you to understand, this kind of gear is a gear for a major fight. These are explosives. These are vests with explosives. Yeah, it's a body vest for terrorists to explode on forces. Among hospitals, among patients, we have hand grenades, Kalashnikovs, and then we have the RPGs. People shooting RPGs from hospitals. This is Hamas, firing RPGs for hospitals. The world has to understand who is Israel fighting against.
This comes even as Israeli military carried out targeted operations in the Shifa hospital. While meeting the Israeli troops, Netanyahu said that there is no place in Gaza that they will not reach.
אתם זוכרים שאמרו לנו שלא נפרוץ לעזה? פרצנו. אמרו לנו שלא נגיע לפאתי העיר עזה? הגענו. אמרו לנו שלא ניכנס לשיפה? נכנסנו. וברוח הזאת אנחנו אומרים דבר פשוט. אין מקום בעזה שלא נגיע אליו. אין מסתור, אין מחסה, אין מקלט למרצחי החמאס. אנחנו נגיע ונחסל את החמאס ונחזיר את החטופים שלנו.
Israeli troops delivered medical aid to Al-Shifa hospital alongside the ground operations, sending a strong message that the fight is against Hamas but not against the civilians. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
Now, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met troops at the Zikim facility on the Gaza border as the ground attack on the enclave continues. He warned the Hamas that there is no place in Gaza that Israel will not reach.
On Wednesday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met troops at the Zikim base area near the northern Gaza Strip. While boosting their morale, Netanyahu said that there is no place in Gaza that Israel will not reach.
זוכרים שאמרו לנו שלא נפרוץ לעזה? פרצנו. אמרו לנו שלא נגיע לפאתי העיר עזה? הגענו. אמרו לנו שלא ניכנס לשיפה? נכנסנו. וברוח הזאת אנחנו אומרים דבר פשוט. אין מקום בעזה שלא נגיע אליו. אין מסתור, אין מחסה, אין מקלט למרצחי החמאס. אנחנו נגיע ונחסל את החמאס ונחזיר את החטופים שלנו. אלה שתי משימות קדושות.
Israeli forces are now carrying out operations in Gaza's largest hospital. A struggling clinic that houses hundreds of patients, including babies, that is at the center of conflicting narratives surrounding the war and serves as a powerful emblem of Palestinian suffering. But Israel viewed Shifa Hospital as a key target in a conflict that has killed thousands of Palestinians.
בערב אני דיברתי שוב עם הנשיא ביידן. אנחנו לא מרפים. אנחנו נחסל את החמאס, נשיג ניצחון מוחלט ונחזיר את החטופים שלנו. בעזרתכם, בעזרת השם. אמן. תודה רבה לכם. אתם יוצאים מן הכלל.
And unleashed widespread destruction in Gaza. The war between Israel and Hamas erupted after the Hamas killed some 1,200 people and seized around 240 captives in a surprise to October 7 attack. According to Israel, Shifa is a Hamas command post. However, Hamas and Gaza health officials deny any terrorists operate in Shifa. But Palestinians and rights groups say that Israel has recklessly endangered civilians as it seeks to eradicate Hamas. Agency Report, Republic TV.
Now, the UNICEF chief has described the situation in Gaza as devastating in the midst of a deadly Israeli operation in the beleaguered region. The executive director of UNICEF, Catherine Russell, traveled to Khan Yunis and saw the Al Nasser hospital.
The chief of United Nations Children's Agency has issued warning after visiting the Gaza Strip that the situation in the territory was desperate. Catherine Rizal, UNICEF's executive director, was in Khan Yunis, where she visited the Al Nasser hospital. She said the hospital was full of injured victims, and several not seeking medical care but simply sheltering inside, sleeping on the floor under blankets.
Desperate situation, and that is the bottom line. And I went, as you said, I was in Khan Yunis, and I went to a hospital there called Al Nasser. And the amazing thing was, as we pulled up to the hospital, it was just, there were crowds and crowds of people around there. So many young people, children, you know, it was just incredible to see it teeming with people. And then I got in the hospital, and every single floor had people camped out, staying there. You know, blankets on the floor. They were just, they sought refuge in the hospital. They were staying there. Not people who were seeking medical care, just people who had come from other parts of the country or parts of the territory who were looking for a place to stay and were staying there. And I think, you know, the doctors and the nurses there are doing their best, but it's obviously a very dire situation. UNICEF is working hard to get water and supplies, medical supplies in, but it's very, very challenging.
Russell stressed that babies in hospital incubators would not be able to survive once fuel runs out.
We're concerned about, at the time, when the doctors that I met with, they took me into the place where they have the incubators and the babies in the incubators, and they're very worried about when they're going to run out of fuel for their generators, right? That's the thing that really seemed to occupy their minds at this point. I think they are worried that they're not going to be able to provide enough services, and if they don't have the fuel, that's devastating, because then they can't run those incubators, which means it would be very hard. Those babies were so tiny. They just couldn't survive if they didn't have the incubators working.
The Children's Agency said that it was also critical to ensuring clean, safe drinking water for children and adults alike.
The point we've made is that the fuel is important, certainly for the generators, and it's critical for the hospitals, the incubators. It's also really important for the water sanitation, which is a critical issue there, right? Children and others, of course, but we always focus on children, need clean water. We don't want them drinking brackish water. They're going to get sick, which is, you know, we don't need that on top of everything else. We also need the fuel so that our people can move around, right? They have to have fuel for their vehicles so that they can deliver the humanitarian support that we're getting into the country and that we're into the territory and that we're helping them to provide. So the fuel is critical. We're advocating with everyone we can on that point, and also just making the point to everyone that, you know, conflict is always bad for children. War is always bad for children. They don't start wars. They can't stop them, but they suffer the most, and that every person who's a party to these things has to take children into account and do their absolute best to protect them.
The United Nations Humanitarian Affairs Office estimates that about 2,700 people, including 1,500 children, are missing and believed buried in the rubble. In addition, more than 11,200 Palestinians, and 2/3 of them women and children, have been confirmed killed in Gaza. Since the start of the war, according to the Health Ministry in Gaza. While officials say that they don't have the equipment, manpower or fuel to search properly for the living, let alone the dead, concerns are only rising for civilians in Gaza. Agency report, Republic TV.
Now, Pakistan has witnessed back-to-back terror attacks in a span of a month, but what has raised eyebrows is the recent killing of terrorists linked to the Jaish-e-Mohammed and the Lashkar-e-Taiba. Now, Republic investigates the truth behind these killings.
For decades, Pakistan has been known for sheltering, nurturing and funding terrorists. In the recent weeks, Pakistan did reap what it has been sowing for long, with back-to-back terror attacks. But there is more to the strikes that Republic investigation has tried to uncover. It began on October 11th, when Pathankot attack mastermind was killed in Sialkot. On October 21st, close-eyed of Maulana Masood Azhar, Dawood Malik was shot dead in Pakistan's North Waziristan. On October 10th, elite commander was killed in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. In the latest, another close-eyed of Maulana Masood Azhar, Maulana Rahimullah Tariq, was murdered. Republic's Pakistan correspondent tried to get more details from the cops. Station house officer confirmed the murder of Maulana Masood Azhar's close-eyed Maulana Rahimullah Tariq, but feared to speak more.
कसफर क्लास से बात कर रहा हूँ इस्लामाबाद से। आई एम एडिटर ऑफ द इस्लामाबाद टेलीग्राफ। आप खैरियत से हैं?
माशाल्लाह सर, आपकी दुआएं।
गुड गुड। ये क्या वाक़या हुआ है मौलाना रहीम तारिक साहब का? वो तो बड़े बेज़रार आदमी थे।
सर रहीम तारिक साहब का?
जी।
वो जो कल हुआ है?
जी जी बिल्कुल कल हुआ है जो।
सर वो पाकिस्तान बाजार में हुआ है।
ठीक हो गया। तो क्या है, कोई जाती दुश्मनी तक का शख्स आना था या इसके पीछे कौन लोग हो सकते हैं?
सर ये मैं कोई कमेंट नहीं कर सकता सर, लॉफुल का मामला है। अभी मैं पाकिस्तान बाजार शकील हाफिज प्रिंस साहब का नंबर भेज रहा हूँ सर, क्लासा साहब।
अच्छा मुझे आपकी नौकरी का वो स्टेक पर डालने का वो नहीं है, आप सलामत रहें। आई गॉट योर पॉइंट।
We also spoke to the investigating officer who claimed that it was not a targeted killing but instead a case of mobile snatching.
इसका आपकी फाइंडिंग क्या है?
तो कुछ क्लियर नहीं हो रहा है, उसको जा रहा है कि अपना चीना झपटी हुई है।
अच्छा अच्छा, तो मतलब स्नैचिंग
वगैरह। और दूसरी तरफ ये है कि वो एक नाखान थे और हाँ, और उनका किसी वैसे उस टाइम ये था कि किसी सियासी तंजीम थे या फलाने थे, लेकिन अभी मैंने सारी तफ्तीश की है, सारी जांच की है, पता किया, देखा है किसी वे से भी कोई ऐसा कोई वे नजर नहीं आ रहा है।
और कोई क्लू है नहीं, मतलब ठीक हो गया?
नहीं सर, कोई गरीब आदमी था ये। और इसका जो वालिद था वो बेचारा नाई था।
और सुना ये पंजाब से थे?
पंजाब झंग से।
ठीक है, लिया जंग, ठीक हो गया। तो मतलब अभी रुक उसी तफ्तीश का उसी साइड पे जा रहे हैं, मोबाइल स्नैचिंग का वाक़या।
While Pakistan continues to deny links, 4 killings in a month have raised questions.
One thing is for sure, and that is these killings were not the ordinary killing. We have to wait until police comes up with solid evidence to prove their standpoint. Kasper Klasa for Republic World, Islamabad.
You are with Republic TV, and on the other side, India stormed into the World Cup finals by beating New Zealand by 70 runs. And the External Affairs Minister slams Canada, asks them to provide evidence in support of allegations.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand.
In the India Today Best Universities 2023 survey, released recently, India's #1 ranked universities in various streams are JNU Delhi, Amity University, AIMS Delhi, IIT Delhi, and National Law School Bengaluru.
उत्तर प्रदेश को दुनिया का मैन्युफैक्चरिंग हब बनाने के लिए हर संभव कार्य कर रही योगी सरकार की नीतियों से प्रभावित होकर देश तथा विदेश के 66 बड़े निवेशकों ने बीते 4 वर्षों में टेक्सटाइल और गारमेंट के सेक्टर में 8,700 करोड़ रुपए का निवेश करने संबंधी प्रस्ताव राज्य सरकार को सौंपे हैं।
उत्तर प्रदेश की टेक्सटाइल और गारमेंट्स की अपनी जो पॉलिसी है वह आप सबके सामने है। आपने उसको देखा होगा, एक बेहतरीन पॉलिसी के रूप में उत्तर प्रदेश सरकार ने मानवीय हस्तक्षेप को जीरो करते हुए ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस के एक बेहतरीन डेस्टिनेशन के रूप में उत्तर प्रदेश ने अपने आप को स्थापित किया है।
उत्तर प्रदेश को भारत का टेक्सटाइल हब बनाने की दिशा में प्रदेश सरकार ने एक और पहल करते हुए नोएडा में अपैरल एक्सपोर्ट क्लस्टर की स्थापना के लिए 150 एकड़ भूमि आवंटित भी कर दी है।
निवेश
खुद की हिम्मत में आसमां को धरती पे लाचे था।
जब भरोसे की हो बैकिंग तो निवेश का हर फैसला बन जाता है बुलंद। इसीलिए हम खड़े हैं हर निवेश के लिए, हर निवेशक के साथ। SBI Securities.
Investment in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.
Supreme's over 9,000 and more plumbing and drainage products and water tanks are made from high-quality raw materials and innovative designs. Supreme Total Piping Solutions, with you for a lifetime.
मैम ये पूरी सरकार खरीद सकते हैं।
खरीद सकते हैं क्या? मुझे तो पैसा पूरा
चला रहे हैं ये जो रेड वेड ये सभी चीज चल रहा है मैम, ये मेरे को तो पूरा और टोटल में मेरे को गेम लगता है।
सर आपको लगता है कि उसको सब कुछ पता है कि क्या हो रहा है?
देखिए जैसा मुझे समझ में ये आया कि मैं तो CM साहब के काफ़ी लंबी बड़ी बात होती थी, सेक्रेटरी हाउस में आते थे तो 3-4 चीज़ मुझे क्लियर हुआ कि हो रहा है ये पता था, इंटेंसिटी इतना ज़्यादा है ये नहीं पता।
Welcome back. Now India has produced yet another outstanding performance to defeat New Zealand by 70 runs and advance straight into the World Cup final, where they will face either Australia or South Africa. After batting first, the side amassed an enormous 397 for 4 in 50 overs and bowled New Zealand out for 327 in 48.5 overs.
Kohli's Virat show at the Wankhede Stadium, followed by Mohammad Shami's lethal 7-wicket haul, powered India to the final of ICC World Cup 2023. Beating New Zealand by 70 runs in a mouth-watering semi-final clash, Daryl Mitchell's vigilant knock of 134 runs came up short against Shami's lethal spell. As the Indian pacer led India's effort in the field to help the hosts seal a place in the Sunday's final, the hosts, who have been unbeaten in the tournament so far, reached their first ODI World Cup final since 2011. Kohli's superb 50th record century followed the Indian opener's scorching start as the tournament hosts got off to a flying start in Mumbai. To chase down 398, New Zealand needed something exceptional. They got off to a good start with Devon Convoy and Rachin Ravindra going on the offensive in the power play overs. However, Mohammad Shami gave India a big breakthrough. As he removed Conway for 13 runs, Shami was at it again, this time sending Ravindra back to the hutch for 13. A strong combination between Daryl Mitchell and Kane Williamson offered the Black Caps hope of breaking the mark. With Mitchell getting a battling century and Captain Williamson hitting 69 to lay the groundwork for his team, the pair continued to build, adding 181 for the third wicket before Williamson fell for 69, once again to the returning Shami. Fans across the country celebrated Team India's victory over New Zealand in the semi-finals of the ICC Cricket World Cup. Prime Minister Modi has congratulated team on their victory. BCCI President Roger Binney has also congratulated team for their efforts.
It's been a tremendous run by the team, winning all the games with such authority. They're doing good cricket and they're looking forward to the final. We definitely have a good chance, I mean, the way we've been performing. So we look to see who's going to come into the final now.
Bureau Report, Republic TV.
And the former England football team captain David Beckham set the internet on fire after the star was spotted attending the Cricket World Cup 2023 semi-final between India and New Zealand at the Wankhede Stadium.
Former England football team captain David Beckham is on India visit as UNICEF's Goodwill Ambassador. And as the visit comes during ICC World Cup 2023, the football legend watched India vs New Zealand semi-final match at Mumbai's Wankhede Stadium. Beckham met star cricketers Sachin Tendulkar and Virat Kohli few moments before the match. On completion of his Gujarat visit as part of UNICEF program, David said it's been an incredible experience so far. David Beckham will continue his visit and is likely to visit some members of the film fraternity today. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
And Virat Kohli has become the first batter in the world to score 50 one-day centuries, breaking Sachin Tendulkar's record of 49 centuries. Virat Kohli broke Tendulkar's long-standing record for the most one-day hundreds of all time.
Star India batter Virat Kohli became the first player in the history of ODI cricket to score 50 centuries. Virat reached the milestone during India's ongoing World Cup semi-final against New Zealand at Mumbai's Wankhede Stadium. Carrying forward the blazing start given by the openers, skipper Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill, Virat brought up his 50th ODI ton of 106 balls with 8-4 and 1-6. He later opened out before eventually falling for 117 off 113 balls. His knock was punctuated with 9 fours and 2 sixes. Virat scored his runs at a strike rate of over 103 before being eventually sent back by Tim. Now, Virat has a total of 50 ODI centuries in 291 ODIs. He has overtaken his childhood idol Sachin Tendulkar, who scored 49 ODI centuries in his decorated career. Legendary cricketer Sachin Tendulkar lavished praise on India batter Virat Kohli for smashing a record 50th ODI ton. Sachin said he couldn't be happier that an Indian player broke his record for most hundreds in cricket. Following his century, Virat bowed to Sachin, who was in the stands enjoying the action. After Virat's ODI century, many cricketers, political leaders including Prime Minister Narendra Modi, union ministers and other politicians heaped praise on the legendary cricket.
Yes, outstanding innings. 50 hundreds is phenomenal. Fantastic. One day record 50 hundreds is phenomenal.
Do you think this record will stay forever?
I don't know, boss. It'll take a lot of beating to beat this. So, and he's not finished yet.
Virat celebrated this historic moment with a jump despite battling cramps. This was also Virat's 80th international cricket century.
रोहित शर्मा डेफिनेटली, क्योंकि उन्होंने बहुत ही अच्छा स्टार्ट दिया है सारी मैचेस में, सिर्फ एक मैच को छोड़ के बहुत ही अच्छा स्टार्ट दिया है। वो कैपेबल है, वो कर सकते हैं सदी पूरी, वो 150 भी मार सकते हैं, 200 भी मार सकते हैं। अहमदाबाद की पिच कोई ऐसा नहीं है कि बॉलर का सपोर्ट करती है, बैटिंग पिच है।
The star batter also has 29 test centuries in 111 tests and 1 T20I century in 115 matches. He is the second highest century scorer of all time in international cricket and is chasing Sachin's record of 100 international tons. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
You're watching Republic TV, and on the other side, a big political face-off has been reignited over the hijab controversy. And also coming up next, a suspected blast in the Surancourt area of Poonch is being investigated.
Powered by Amity University, ranked amongst the top 3 universities globally. Co-powered by Mankind Pharma, brings premium DMF quality medicine for India.
देखो यार, जिंदगी का कोई भरोसा नहीं, पता नहीं कब फोटो पे हार चढ़ जाए और फैमिली का फ्यूचर, बच्चों की पढ़ाई खतरे में पड़ जाए। तो आज ही पॉलिसी बाजार से 1 करोड़ का टर्म लाइफ इंश्योरेंस कराओ, सिर्फ 525 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
So these are strange things. I usually say that these things come to me, I don't choose them. Running the half marathon, I did that maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago in Bombay. Speaking French in front of 5,000 French people in Bordeaux. So I had to go through a 1-year training program, learn how to speak French, and then go and do this whole thing. This year was climbing Mount Fuji in Japan. Last year was learning how to play the guitar. 1 year was dancing on stage. So I went for these hip hop, jazz classes for a while and did that. So I feel like I love that. I love challenging myself, because at the end of the day, it's your mind that you have to conquer, and once you conquer that, you can do anything.
Catch Techno Phantom V Flip 5G presents Women Pioneers of India only on Republic TV.
RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, growing legacies over 200 years.
Experience elevated grandness with the most luxurious and supremely comfortable BMW 3 Series Grand Limousine. Bring home India's best-selling luxury sedan at rupees 59,999 per month.
Powered by बढ़िया है शुद्ध है MDH मिर्ची धनिया हल्दी असली मसाले सच सच MDH Co-powered by Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand. Amazing spaces के लिए Green Lamb Laminates, कुछ मेरा कुछ तुम्हारा.
External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar slams Canada, asks Trudeau to provide evidence in support of its allegations. Hours after holding bilateral talks with Xi, US President has called Chinese counterpart a dictator.
Today, as new understanding, we're taking action to significantly reduce the flow of precursor chemicals and pill presses from China to the Western Hemisphere.
Over 100 hours on rescue operations continue on war footing as at least 40 workers still remain trapped in Uttar Kashi. Big political face-off as Siddaramaiah government revises dress code, revokes hijab ban in recruitment exam. India storm into World Cup finals by beating New Zealand by 70 runs. Operating in the heart of Gaza, Israel gathers more and more evidence against Hamas to show the world. And we have a big breaking news coming in after a much anticipated meet between US President Joe Biden and Xi Jinping. The US President Joe Biden has called Xi Jinping a dictator yet again.
Well, look, he is. I mean, he's a dictator in the sense that he is a guy who runs a country that is a communist country that's based on a form of government totally different than ours. Well, look, he is. I mean, he's a dictator in the sense that he is a guy who runs a country that is a communist country that's based on a form of government totally different than ours. Well, look, he is. I mean, he's a dictator in the sense that he is a guy who runs a country that is a communist country that's based on a form of government totally different than ours.
Calling Xi Jinping a dictator who is running a communist country that is based on a government entirely different from US's structure, Joe Biden has yet again called Xi Jinping a dictator. For more on this, we have our senior executive editor, Abhishek Kapoor. Abhishek, much was being anticipated from this meeting, which has happened after more than a year. But a lot of positive result was being expected. But now Joe Biden has come out and he has called Xi Jinping a dictator yet again after June this year when US State Secretary Antony Blinken had visited China. So where is the relationship now?
Well, you see, let's quote Joe Biden exactly. What he has said is, well, look, he's a dictator in the sense that he's a guy who's running a country, a communist country that is not a form of government totally different than ours. Now, had Joe Biden done what he has done today, say 10 years younger, maybe one would have thought that he has applied his mind, thought through it, and, there is an intention behind it. But the frailty of age about which even the United States press has been sort of documenting it, Joe Biden might have said it just off the cuff. But obviously, the Chinese are not going to like it. There was a low-hanging fruit. There was only one low-hanging fruit in this entire exercise of getting Xi Jinping and Joe Biden to talk to each other, which was a re-establishing of military communication. That has been achieved. So I don't think there are any other there was anything on the table which the Chinese can pull back now, except for, maybe because of the fact that Xi Jinping, while still in United States, on the soil of the United States, has to hear this. It was essentially this comment by Joe Biden earlier this year, which had got the Chinese to really up the ante and increase the level of frostiness that has existed between China and the United States since the visit of Nancy Pelosi to Taiwan last year. So I think nothing more beyond another irritant coming in the ongoing standoff between China and the United States, ongoing competition between a rising power and a declining power. But then, yes, Joe Biden could have avoided it till the time at least that Xi Jinping was still on American soil, which he is for another day or two. But Joe Biden being Joe Biden, I think nothing more can be said about that.
Thank you so much, Abhishek, for sharing the details of this latest comment by President Joe Biden on Xi Jinping after the much anticipated meet between the leaders of the two most powerful countries. Moving on, President Joe Biden held a press briefing after meeting his Chinese counterpart and said that both nations are US president. Joe Biden said that today, President Xi and I also exchanged views on a range of regional and global issues, including Russia's refusal to stop the war and brutal war of aggression against Ukraine and conflict in Gaza. As I always do, I raised areas where the United States has concerns about the PRC's actions, including detain and exit banned US citizens, human rights and coercive activities in the South China Sea. We also discussed all three of those things. I gave them names of individuals that we think are being held, and hopefully we can get them released as well. No agreement on that. Let's listen in to what the President of United States had to say.
A lot of people are dying. More people in the United States between the ages of 18 and 49 die from fentanyl than from guns, car accidents, or any other cause, period. So today, with this new understanding, we're taking action to significantly reduce the flow of precursor chemicals and pill presses from China to the Western Hemisphere. It's going to save lives, and I appreciate President Xi's commitment on this issue. President Xi and I tasked our teams to maintain a policy and law enforcement coordination going forward to make sure it works. I also want to thank the bipartisan congressional delegation to China, led by Leader Schumer, in October for supporting this effort so strongly. Secondly, and this is critically important, we're reassuming military-to-military contacts, direct contacts. As a lot of you press know who follow this, that's been cut off, and it's been very worrisome. That's how accidents happen, misunderstandings. So we're back to direct, open, clear, direct communications on a direct basis. Vital miscalculations on either side can cause real trouble with a country like China or any other major country. And so I think we're made real progress there as well. And thirdly, we're going to get our experts together to discuss risk and safety issues associated with artificial intelligence. In the world, almost everywhere I go, every major leader wants to talk about the impact of artificial intelligence. These are tangible steps in the right direction to determine what's useful and what's not useful, what's dangerous and what's acceptable. Moreover, there are evidence of cases that I've made all along. The United States will continue to compete vigorously with the PRC, but will manage that competition responsibly so it doesn't veer into conflict or accidental conflict. And where it's possible, where our interests coincide, we're going to work together like we did on fentanyl. That's what the world expects of us. The rest of the world expects, not just in people in China and the United States, but the rest of the world expects that of us. And that's what the United States is going to be doing. Today, President Xi and I also exchanged views on a range of regional and global issues, including Russia's refusal and brutal war to stop the war and brutal war of aggression against Ukraine and conflict in Gaza. And as I always do, I raised areas where the United States has concerns about the PRC's actions, including detained and ex-banned U.S. citizens, human rights, and coercive activities in the South China Sea. We discussed all three of those things. I gave them names of individuals that we think are being held, and hopefully we can get them released as well. No agreement on that. No agreement on that. I also stressed the importance of peace and stability in the Taiwan Straits. It's clear that we object to Beijing's non-market economic practices and disadvantage American businesses and workers, and that we'll continue to address them. And I named what I thought a number of those were. I welcome the positive steps we've taken today, and it's important for the world to see that we're implementing the approach in the best traditions of American diplomacy. We're talking to our competitors, and the key, and just talking, just being blunt with one another, so there's no misunderstanding, as a key element to maintaining global stability and delivering for the American people.
Now, the External Affairs Minister Jaishankar has slammed Canada over the show of no proof over the Nijjar killing. External Affairs Minister said that India is not ruling out an investigation, but asked Canada to provide evidence in support of its allegations about the involvement of agents of the Indian government in the killing of a Khalistani terrorist in that country. Let's listen in to what Jaishankar said.
The context is that in Canada, we feel that the Canadian politics has given space to violent and extreme political opinions which advocate separatism from India, including through violent means. And these people have been accommodated in Canadian politics. they are given the freedom to articulate their views. And not just that, it had come to a situation where the diplomats of my country, including the High Commissioner, we've had attacks on the High Commission, smoke bombs thrown at the High Commission. My Consul General and other diplomats were intimidated in public, on record, with no action taken by those who did this. This is a country where there is a previous history. For those who would be familiar with Lockerbie, we had a much bigger incident when an Air India plane, there were bombs put, in fact, on two planes. One fortunately landed before when the bomb went off, but the other one, there were 327 people who died when the plane crashed off Ireland. So given all this, I think it was important that a country like Canada, I mean, we are a democracy, we are a democracy, they are a democracy. But freedom of speech and freedom of expression also comes with a certain responsibility, and the misuse of those freedoms and the toleration of that misuse for political purposes would be, to our mind, very wrong. Now, in the case of Mr. Trudeau, I have discussed it also with my own counterpart. I still do, and we have told them, so look, if you have a reason to make such an allegation, please share the evidence with us. We are not ruling out an investigation and looking at anything which they may have to offer. They haven't done so.
And we have a big breaking news in at this moment. The Enforcement Directorate has sent a new set of summons to Neville Roy Singham in the alleged NewsClick funding case. These summons have been sent through the Ministry of External Affairs. Neville is presently in China. A Delhi court first issued a letter of rogat to Enforcement Directorate last year. Chinese authorities refused to serve summons to Singham. The Enforcement Directorate has named him as an accused in a money laundering case revolving around NewsClick funding. 2 months back, the CBI had filed a case of FCRA violation against NewsClick and named Neville Roy Singham as an accused. On the 3rd of October, a lot of journalists in India who worked with NewsClick in some capacity were brought in by the special cell of Delhi police for questioning. For more on this, we have with us our senior editor, Shravan Sen. It was the Enforcement Directorate had said that NewsClick, which is an online news portal, had connections with China and other international nations, and it was also getting funding from China. And it was not just NewsClick, other agencies were also involved. Shravan, could you please tell us, with this latest summon that has been issued against Neville Roy Singham, where is the case headed now? Because earlier also some summons have been ignored. And now Neville Roy Singham is in Shanghai. So what is the next step in the NewsClick case as of now?
Well, in fact, this is not the first time that Neville Roy Singham has been summoned by the Enforcement Directorate. In the past, when the summons were actually sent out, China had essentially stonewalled the summons that were sent out by the Enforcement Directorate. The summons were basically sent to Shanghai-based Neville Roy Singham, asking him to join the investigations for allegedly funneling funds to media portal NewsClick. Now we're given to understand that the Enforcement Directorate has essentially issued fresh summons, and this time they've sent it to the Ministry of External Affairs so that it could be served on him, seeking his presence in India to record his statement on allegations about him running a Chinese influence operation in India. Important to point out here, remember, the Enforcement Directorate has essentially asked for the custodial interrogation of NewsClick promoter Prabir Purkaista, who's currently judicial custody after he was arrested by Delhi police on charges of alleged anti-India activities. In fact, not just Prabir Purkaista, but NewsClick's HR head Amit Chakrabarti was also arrested back in October. This was under the UAPA sections for running a Chinese propaganda of the news portal. Remember, the allegation essentially being that Prabir Purkaista was allegedly receiving funds from a company called Worldwide Media Holdings LLC USA, and roughly about 9.6 crore rupees was funneled in the initial days, and thereafter roughly about 48 crore rupees actually came in. Large part of the money that was being funneled was coming in through this man called Neville Roy Singham, and Neville Roy Singham was not only funding an Indian news portal, but several other news portals across the globe.
Thank you so much, Shravan, for sharing all the details in the latest development in the big NewsClick scam case, where all the founder, as Shravan also just said, has been already taken into custody. He was taken in custody in October itself, along with the HR head Amit Chakrabarti, Prabir Purkaista, who's the founder of NewsClick, and now another summon has been sent against for Neville Roy Singham, who is in China as of now. Neville Roy Singham's name had also come back. First time it had come in the month of August, when alleged connection and a trail of email were found between the businessman and also some of the Indian politicians, where it was what came out, what the ED had also said, that NewsClick is basically receiving funding from China and is spreading anti-India propaganda in the country, and a lot of journalists, at least 37 of them, including male and female, were brought in for questioning after the ED had carried out search and raid operations on 8 different locations. Let's move on to our next story at this hour.
Hello, Moto. Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Wednesday met troops at the Zikim base near the northern Gaza Strip. Netanyahu boosted the soldiers' morale while telling them there is no place in Gaza that Israel will not reach. Explosions and plumes of smoke were seen rising over northern Gaza Strip on Wednesday evening as Israeli airstrikes continue on the besieged territory, and Israeli ground forces battle Hamas fighters in the enclave's north. The Israeli army on Wednesday carried out a precise and targeted operation against Hamas in a specified area in the Shifa hospital. 2.5 weeks after sending tanks and ground troops into northern Gaza, Israeli forces entered the hospital early Wednesday that they claim Hamas operates from. Friends and family members of the roughly 240 people who remain in captivity in the Hamas-controlled Gaza Strip after being captured by the group marched on Wednesday in the city of Be'er Yaakov, Israel. The protest march originally began on Tuesday, and relatives gathered in Tel Aviv to begin their journey, which is due to finish in Jerusalem. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant on Wednesday met U.S. Special Coordinator for the Middle East, Brett McGurk, at the Defense Ministry. In a statement, the Defense Ministry said that the two officials discussed the ongoing war between Israel and Hamas as Israeli ground troops advance in the Gaza Strip. The Israeli military on Wednesday released videos, it said, showing troops delivering medical aid to Shifa Hospital in Gaza City. The chief spokesman for the IDF, Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari, said that the aid was delivered at the entrance to the hospital and consisted of baby food and medical aid. The head of the World Health Organization, Tedros Ghebreyesus, on Wednesday called Israel's raid on Shifa Hospital in Gaza City totally unacceptable. He further added that hospitals are not battlegrounds and they are extremely worried for the safety of staff and patients. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas condemned the ongoing war in Gaza Strip and the violence Palestinians face in the occupied West Bank as a war on the Palestinian existence and on the Palestinian national identity. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan increased his criticism of Israel on Wednesday, calling it a terrorist state intent on destroying Gaza along with all of its residents. In a fiery speech to members of his ruling party, Erdogan also said his country would take steps to ensure that Israel's political and military leaders are brought to trial in international courts. The Egyptian foreign minister received his Irish counterpart on Wednesday in Cairo, where they discussed, among other topics, the developing situation of the Gaza Strip. Irish Foreign Affairs Minister and Defence Minister Michel Martin said that the situation in Gaza is worsening in the light of the humanitarian crisis. Stay with us as we'll be back with India's storm into World Cup finals by beating New Zealand by 70 runs. Operating in the heart of Gaza, Israel gathers more and more evidence against Hamas to show the world.
Hello, Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand.
Powered by Century Ply Club Prime. Raho Befikar. Co-powered by Philips Smart Wi-Fi LED lights. Smarter generation ki smart lights.
In the India Today Best Universities 2023 survey, released recently, India's #1 ranked universities in various streams are JNU Delhi, Amity University, AIMS Delhi, IIT Delhi, and National Law School Bengaluru.
लेकिन हमने तो एकदम सॉलिड टीएमटी बार लगाया है।
मतलब रुंगटा स्टील टीएमटी बार, जंग से न माने हार और मजबूती बेशुमार। रुंगटा स्टील टीएमटी बार है बिल्कुल रेडी।
कर निवेश खुद की हिम्मत में आसमां को धरती पे लाके
जब भरोसे की हो बैकिंग तो निवेश का हर फैसला बन जाता है बुलंद। इसीलिए हम खड़े हैं हर निवेश के लिए, हर निवेशक के साथ। SBI Securities.
Investment in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.
Whenever I had ice cream or cold water, I would experience a sharp shooting sensation. So I just kept ignoring it. Even my hot chai was giving me the same amount of discomfort. My dentist recommended Sensodyne. So now I can be completely carefree and sip my hot cup of tea. It really works.
टिप चाहिए? पैसा लगाना है? तो सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम पे लगाओ। डूबेगा नहीं, जलेगा भी नहीं, कोई खा नहीं जाएगा और मिनिमम 30 साल का रिटर्न देगा। अब इससे बेटर इन्वेस्टमेंट है? तो बताओ। सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम, रहो बेफिक्र।
With 49 studios, Woodfill has revolutionized the Indian modular kitchen industry by bringing the best of Europe for Indian homes. Visit the nearest store for a new design and a quote.
And a big breaking news, speaking on the 1971 war, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar has said that the 1921 period was that of disruption. Further drawing Pakistan-Bangladesh comparison, he added that Bangladesh fared much better than Pakistan economically.
Previous remark, I used the adjective excessive disruption. So even disruptions need to be managed and handled with a certain amount of skill. But the answer is yes. When I used, I'm not exactly sure where I used that term in the book, but certainly, I trust you. 1971 was a disruption in the sense what it did was it took a partitioned subcontinent and brought out the untenability of the outcome of the partition and really created a different construct in the subcontinent, which of course continues to this day. And interestingly, what was then the the poorer part, the less developed part of Pakistan has actually done much better economically.
On India-China relations, External Affairs Minister of India, Dr. S. Jaishankar, said that the rise of China is a reality, but there is an equal reality, that is, the rise of India.
Now the bigger question, there is a certain reality, which is the rise of China. There's an equal reality, the rise of India. The rise may be different, the time frame may be different, the quantitatively or qualitatively they may not be identical. But the fact is, as two countries who are really proximate neighbors, who are the two oldest civilizations of the world, who have survived as nation states, who are in a way exceptional nation states because they are civilizational ones. I think there are realities that need to be recognized, and perhaps each one of us has some tradition of how we look at the world, but traditions at the end of the day also have to take into account contemporary realities.
हॉस्पिटल में एडमिट हुए नहीं कि बिल का मीटर चालू, और ये मीटर पहले आपके ऑफिस का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस खत्म करेगा और फिर सारी सेविंग्स। पर घबराओ नहीं, पॉलिसी बाजार पे 1 करोड़ का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 390 रुपए महीने से शुरू। ले लो।
Supreme's over 9,000 and more plumbing and drainage products and water tanks are made from high-quality raw materials and innovative designs. Supreme Total Piping Solutions, with you for a lifetime.
जब प्राइवेसी प्रोटेक्शन के बिना हो हैकर्स के पास अथॉरिटी, फिर किस बात की साइबर सिक्योरिटी? क्विक हील, आज के लाइफ की प्रायोरिटी साइबर सिक्योरिटी।
मास्टर जी।
अरे करुण, तुम शहर से कब वापस आए?
परसों आया मास्टर जी, माँ का बार-बार फोन।
अच्छा गिरधर, तुमने जो जानकारी दी उससे मेरे बेटे का काफी भला हुआ।
थैंक यू सर। यार गिरी, तो पॉपुलर बन गया है तू?
पॉपुलर नहीं यार, डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर बन गया म्यूचुअल फंड्स का। मैं इन सभी की मदद करता हूँ, उनका भला होता है तो वो दुआ देते हैं।
वाह यार।
अगर आप भी मेरी तरह म्यूचुअल फंड्स डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर बनना चाहते हैं तो जाइए mfdkareshuru.com पर। तो करें शुरू।
Hi, what's that? That's a Manish Malhotra. Not your dress. The cupboard. The laminate is a Manish Malhotra design.
Century Laminates by Manish Malhotra. Fashion for your furniture.
Live it up, live it up.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand, brings you the latest breaking news update from across the country, only on Republic TV.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand.
Welcome back. You're watching Republic TV, and here are the headlines at 9:30. The External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar slams Canada, asked them to provide evidence in support of allegations over Niger. Hours after holding bilateral talks with Xi, the US president calls the Chinese counterpart a dictator. Over 100 hours on, rescue operations continue on a war footing as at least 40 workers still remain trapped in Uttarkashi. Big political face-off as Siddaramaia's government revises dress code, revokes hijab ban in the recruitment exam. And operating in the heart of Gaza, Israel gathers more and more evidence against the Hamas to show the world. Now, the Israeli military has displayed what it says are Hamas weapons and military equipment it uncovered in Gaza's Shifa hospital. But so far, its search has showed no sign of tunnels or sophisticated command center that it had said the Hamas maintains on the grounds of the hospital. The Hamas and Gaza health officials have denied that terrorists are operating at the Shifa hospital. So, do remember that even yesterday we had seen pictures come in from the Israeli side where it had said that they had uncovered additional evidence pointing to the utilization of hospitals by the Hamas. They had said that the Hamas was using these hospitals as storage facilities for weapons, and also that there were tunnels under the hospital. However, so far no evidence has come forward to suggest that the Hamas was operating from tunnels under the Al-Shifa hospital. The Israeli Air Force also, of course, has said that they have continued with their airstrikes in search of these tunnels, which they say the Hamas uses in and out of places like hospitals and schools to essentially operate. Pictures on your screen, of course, are those that have been shared by the IDF. These are weapon stores that they say have been found at the Al-Shifa hospital. Now, there has been immense international condemnation of the manner in which the Israelis have struck these hospitals because these hospitals were serving not just as medical facilities but also as essentially places where people were taking shelter. The United Nations, of course, has been urging for humanitarian pauses in the Gaza conflict and the release also of all hostages who've been held by the Hamas. The hostages, of course, even though Israel says it is continuously working to release those 270 hostages held by the Hamas, there seems to be no news in terms of whether the negotiations have progressed at all and how far they have progressed. Now, there have been various sites that the Israelis have essentially attacked, saying that this is where they were, the hostages were being held. There was a school here earlier where the IDF suspected the hostages were being held, but they, of course, have been constantly moved about, is what we understand.
IDF here. I am in the Shifa hospital, as you can see from the sign behind me, and as you can clearly see from the building. We are going to do a one-shot video. One shot, no editing, of all of the evidence that we have found just now in this building of the Shifa. So we're inside the MRI center of the Shifa hospital. Israeli troops breached here a few hours ago, and we have cleared the area, make sure that it's safe. And a few of the most interesting things that we have found totally confirm, without any doubt, that Hamas systematically uses hospitals in their military operations in violation of international law. And what we have found, I think, is only the tip of the iceberg. Let me show you a few examples. Security cameras have been obstructed. All of the security cameras are covered, and this isn't the only one. You'll see the rest of them here. Follow me as we go in, and we will see the MRI center and see the weapons that Hamas has hidden inside. This is where patients come in order to get MRI services. We'll proceed into a more secluded area. And the lighting here is out, so we're using flashlights. We're now, as you can see, in an MRI room. I don't know when this was used the last time. But it is definitely an MRI machine. And if you follow me behind the MRI machine, I'll show you what our troops exposed just minutes ago. In military terms, this is a grab bag, grab and go of a Hamas combatant. And if you zoom in and we get some light over here, what you will be able to see is military equipment. There is an AK-47, there are cartridges, ammo, there are grenades in here, of course uniform, and all of this was hidden very conveniently, secretly behind the MRI machine. On the other side, we found a backpack with what appears to be very important intelligence, including a laptop, and we'll show you that momentarily. Let's go see the next room. So we're still in the MRI center. The backpack was found in here, and it was also hidden behind the MRI machine. As you can see, the rest of the equipment here is proper hospital equipment, right? Bandages and medical gear. It seems as if there's no real shortage because there's a lot of equipment here, but we'll leave that for another discussion. Let's go see weapons and other prohibited items. As we walk through the main corridor here, our troops did a preliminary search of the area. We tried to uncover the cameras, but all of the cameras have been obstructed. You can see there's black tape covering it. And when our troops opened this closet here, which is in the main part of the clinic, this is what they found. These weapons have absolutely no business being inside a hospital. The only reason they're here is because Hamas put them here, because they use this place, like many other hospitals and ambulances and sensitive facilities inside the Gaza Strip, for their illicit military purposes. So there's Kalashnikov rifles here, even ammunition. And let's go see the next part of the of what we have here. Another MRI machine. Another MRI machine where behind it we also found contraband similar to what you saw in the other areas. And let's go see the last thing, which is more related to intelligence, which I think we will be able to extract quite a lot of interesting intelligence from. If you can see, follow me. Up here on top of a spare part of the MRI department, we found another grab bag. It's empty because we emptied it and cleared it so that we could use and see it. So this is where we found it, and here are the contents of the bag. The contents of the bag are full military kit for one Hamas terrorist. A live grenade, ammunition, fighting vest with insignia, boots, and of course uniforms, and last but not least, standard AK-47. Inside the hospital, hidden in a secluded area, take a look at this door here. Blast-proof door, which is part of the clinic and part of the infrastructure of the hospital. Everything else looks like a hospital, only this part doesn't. Last part. Now we will see something that our Intel researchers are looking into. Hold on, before we go on, let's have a look at what we found inside the very same cabinet that houses medical equipment. You can see all kinds of standard military medical stuff. We found another go-to bag, this bag here. And again, we opened it up in order to make sure that it's safe to touch and show. So please don't give me any of that. You opened it up and you placed it there. This is the bag that we found, and this is the stuff that was in it. Now, there's insignia, military insignia, a knife. For those of you who read Arabic, you'll be able to understand what it says here. But it's Hamas, the military wing, Kataib al-Qassam, of course a vest with equipment, and as always an AK-47, standard gear, grab and go, which they thought would be a good place to store inside a hospital. And the last item, which I'm sure will be very interesting to analyze, is a laptop. We found it in the MRI room. This is how the laptop looks. I don't know who it belonged to, but now it is being analyzed by our Intel people. Tactical radio communications, which we will analyze. Lots of disks, which will be analyzed. And a computer, which at first glance already provides a lot of incriminating evidence.
معكم الممثل الضابط عن مديرية الارتباط والتنسيق في قطاع غزة. زي ما انتم شايفين احنا متواجدين في مستشفى الشفاء في مدينة غزة. جبنا معنا الأدوات الطبية والغذاء للأطفال الموجودة في المستشفى، ومن ناشط مدير المستشفى والطاقم الطبي يطلعوا ياخذ الأغراض، وإحنا مسؤولين عن توصيلة الأغراض بشكل آمن إلهن. جيش الدفاع الإسرائيلي يساعد المدنيين، جيش الدفاع الإسرائيلي ضد حماس، وراح يعمل كل الجهود عشان يقضي على هاي الحركة المشعوذة الظالمة والمش إنسانية.
Now, the US President Joe Biden has referred to the Chinese President Xi Jinping as a dictator during a press conference, potentially overshadowing the productive discussions held between the two leaders. Now, despite the comment, Biden has acknowledged that important agreements have been reached between the US and China.
Well, look, he is. I mean, he's a dictator in the sense that he is a guy who runs a country that is a communist country that is based on a form of government totally different than ours. Well, look, he is. I mean, he's a dictator in the sense that he is a guy who runs a country that is a communist country that is based on a form of government totally different than ours. Well, look, he is. I mean, he's a dictator in the sense that he is a guy who runs a country that is a communist country that is based on a form of government totally different than ours.
Hello, Moto. Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand.
The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Wednesday met troops at the Zikim base near the northern Gaza Strip. Netanyahu boosted the soldiers' morale while telling them that there is no place in Gaza that Israel will not reach. Explosions and plumes of smoke were seen rising over northern Gaza Strip on Wednesday evening as Israeli airstrikes continued on the besieged territory and Israeli ground forces battled Hamas fighters in the enclave's north. The Israeli army on Wednesday carried out a precise and targeted operation against Hamas in a specified area in the Shifa hospital 2.5 weeks after sending tanks and ground troops into northern Gaza. Israeli forces entered the hospital early Wednesday that they claim Hamas operates out of. Friends and family members of the roughly 240 people who remain in captivity in Hamas-controlled Gaza after being captured by the group marched on Wednesday in the city of Bir Yaakov, Israel. The protest march originally began on Tuesday and relatives gathered in Tel Aviv to begin their journey, which is due to finish in Jerusalem. The Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant on Wednesday met U.S. Special Forces Coordinator for the Middle East, Brett McGurk, at the Defense Ministry. In a statement, the Defense Ministry said the two officials discussed the ongoing war between Israel and Hamas as Israeli ground troops advanced into the Gaza Strip. The Israeli military on Wednesday released videos that showed troops delivering medical aid to the Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza City. The chief spokesperson of the IDF, Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari, has said that the aid was delivered at the entrance of the hospital and consisted of baby food and other supplies. The head of the World Health Organization on Wednesday called Israel's raid on Shifa hospital in Gaza City totally unacceptable. He further added that hospitals are not battlegrounds and they're extremely worried for the safety of staff and patients. The Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has condemned the ongoing war in the Gaza Strip and the violence Palestinians face in the occupied West Bank as a war on Palestinian existence and on the Palestinian national identity. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has increased his criticism of Israel Wednesday, calling it a terrorist state intent on destroying Gaza along with all its residents. In a fiery speech to members of his ruling party, Erdogan also said his country would take steps to ensure that Israel's political and military leaders are brought to trial in international courts. The Egyptian foreign minister received his Irish counterpart on Wednesday in Cairo, where they discussed the ongoing situation in the Gaza Strip, amongst other things. The Irish Foreign Affairs Minister and Defence Minister Michael Martin said that the situation in Gaza is worsening in the light of humanitarian crisis. Over 100 years on, rescue operations continue on a war footing as at least 40 workers still remain trapped in Uttarkashi. Big political face-off as the Siddharamaiah government revises its dress code, revokes hijab ban in the recruitment exam.
Hello, Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand.
In the India Today Best Universities 2023 survey, released recently, India's #1 ranked universities in various streams are JNU Delhi, Amity University, AIMS Delhi, IIT Delhi, and National Law School Bengaluru.
लेकिन हमने तो एकदम सॉलिड टीएमटी बार लगाया है।
लुंगटा स्टील टीएमटी बार जंग से न माने हार और मजबूती बेशुमार। लुंगटा स्टील टीएमटी बार है बिल्कुल ready.
My dad has won a medal for bravery. He's a major in the army. He protects everyone. Karan, what does your dad do?
Rohan, your daddy.
Karan, tell us now.
He's an LIC agent.
That's great. Imagine what if something untoward happens?
So?
Well, Karan's dad provides proper guidance to protect our family's future.
We are proud of our million-plus agents who continue to protect countless lives. We welcome you to LIC. Visit your nearest LIC branch.
Supreme's over 9,000 and more plumbing and drainage products and water tanks are made from high-quality raw materials and innovative designs. Supreme Total Piping Solutions, with you for a lifetime.
Experience elevated grandness with the most luxurious and supremely comfortable BMW 3 Series Grand Limousine. Bring home India's best-selling luxury sedan at ₹59,999 per month.
In a journey that defines our dynamic future, Bharat embarks on a mission of shaping a new and determined nation. Witness a journey towards development where turning dreams into reality is not just a possibility, but a certainty. Join us on Bharat 2050, where unwavering commitment and self-reliance meet economically brilliant tomorrow.
Hello, Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand.
And here's a quick alert that we are getting. IT department is conducting raids at multiple locations in Bengaluru. Searches are being conducted at locations in the BVK Iyengar Road layout and the Rajaji Nagar area. What we are being told at this point in time is that the IT department is conducting these searches on shops and homes of dry fruit vendors, and it is believed to be in connection with tax evasion. Well, ahead of elections, a mega political face-off is brewing, and it's over Prime Minister's veiled Murkhon ke Sardar jibe at Rahul Gandhi. Responding to the jibe, the Congress has now alleged that the Prime Minister is using such language because he's already aware of the election results.
It was the statement of Rahul Gandhi.
आप मोबाइल फोन के पीछे देखो, शर्ट के पीछे देखो, जूते के नीचे देखो, मेड इन चाइना दिखेगा। हम सही बात ना, आपने कभी किसी कैमरा के पीछे, शर्ट के पीछे मेड इन मध्य प्रदेश देखा है? नहीं देखा। ये हम करना चाहते हैं।
That Prime Minister fact-checked on Tuesday.
मैंने सुना कल एक महाज्ञानी कांग्रेस के
कह रहे थे कि भारत के पास, यहां के सब लोगों के पास मेड इन चाइना मोबाइल फोन होता है। एक महाज्ञानी कांग्रेस के कह रहे थे कि आप सबके पास मेड इन चाइना मोबाइल फोन होता है। अरे मूर्खों के सरदार, किस दुनिया में रहते हैं ये लोग? कांग्रेस के नेताओं को अपने देश की उपलब्धियां न देखने की मानसिक बीमारी हो गई है। पता नहीं विदेश के वो कौन से चश्मे पहने हैं कि उनको देश की स्थिति का पता ही नहीं दिखता है।
Leading to this response from Rahul Gandhi.
नरेंद्र मोदी जी आते हैं, जहां भी जाते हैं मेरे बारे में गलत शब्द प्रयोग करते हैं, गाली देते हैं, मुझे उल्टी सीधी बात करते हैं। अच्छा है, मुझे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता।
Congress attacked PM.
चुनाव की पहले ही प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी चुनाव की नतीजा आजमा ले चुके हैं, इसलिए बौखलाए हुए देश की प्रधानमंत्री जी की जुबान से भद्दे भाषा निकलने लगी।
BJP hit back, saying there is nothing wrong in what PM said.
राहुल को जिसने स्क्रिप्ट देता है वही स्क्रिप्ट वो पढ़ लेते हैं और अपने आप को एक एंग्री यंग मैन का तरफ वो दिखवाना चाहते हैं। तो इसीलिए मेरा लगता है कि प्रधानमंत्री जी ने जो बात बोला है वो तो भारत वर्ष का हर लोग जानते हैं, सबका मन में वही है।
Face off over Murkho ka Sardar has only gotten bigger with more fiery responses. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
Now, the hijab controversy is back in the state of Karnataka. 6 days after the Siddharamaiah government banned headgear inside examination centres, changes have been made in the circular stating that there will be no ban on hijabs. The BJP has called the move nothing but appeasement.
The hijab controversy has made a comeback in the state of Karnataka. The controversy started with a circular dated November 9th that said no head covers would be allowed at examination centres. 6 days later, changes were made in this circular. The new instructions said that there would be no ban on hijabs.
The Karnataka Congress government now seems to be in a sort of a fix over the dress code during the Karnataka examinations, which has now already been announced by the KEA. Now there has been a massive twist, turns, U-turns, as well as appeasement politics which are being levelled against the Karnataka Congress too. And as soon as Omar Abdullah as well as Asaduddin Owaisi started slamming the Karnataka Congress for banning the hijab during the Karnataka examinations,
Congress ally and India Alliance leader has slammed the Congress over the hijab controversy.
इतनी हिम्मत है मुझे कि इंडिया अलायंस में रह के मैं कांग्रेस के बारे में कुछ कह सकूं। बच्चियों के साथ तो ये कर्नाटका में पहली बार नहीं हुआ है और हुकूमत ने कहा ये सिर्फ हिजाब के बारे में नहीं है। ठीक है, नहीं है। सरदार बच्चे क्या करेंगे? क्या उनकी पगड़ी उतारोगे आप इलेक्शन ये एग्जामिनेशन सेंटर में अंदर जाने के से पहले? हमने किसी पार्टी को निशाना नहीं बनाया, हम उस ऑर्डर के खिलाफ।
While the BJP has said that Congress's decision to allow hijab at exam centres is part of appeasement politics.
Naturally, Congress always wants to appease one or other particular community. As usual, this is doing with Congress.
Last year, hijab issue was kept burning in educational institutions in Karnataka. Is there an attempt to once again polarize using the hijab issue? Bureau Report, Republic TV.
And coming up next, hours after holding bilateral talks with Xi, the US president has called his Chinese counterpart a dictator. And operating in the heart of Gaza, Israel gathers more evidence against the Hamas.
Powered by Century Ply Club Prime. Raho Befikar. Co-powered by Philips Smart Wi-Fi LED lights. Smarter generation की smart lights.
देखो यार, जिंदगी का कोई भरोसा नहीं, पता नहीं कब फोटो पे हार चढ़ जाए और फैमिली का फ्यूचर, बच्चों की पढ़ाई खतरे में पड़ जाए। तो आज ही पॉलिसी बाजार से 1 करोड़ का टर्म लाइफ इंश्योरेंस कराओ, सिर्फ 525 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
So these are strange things. I usually say that these things come to me, I don't choose them. Running the half marathon, I did that maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago in Bombay. Speaking French in front of 5,000 French people in Bordeaux. So I had to go through a 1-year training program, learn how to speak French and then go and do this whole thing. This year was climbing Mount Fuji in Japan. Last year was learning how to play the guitar. 1 year was dancing on stage. So I went for these hip hop, jazz classes for a while and did that. So I feel like I love that, I love challenging myself, because at the end of the day, it's your mind that you have to conquer, and once you conquer that, you can do anything.
Catch Techno Phantom V Flip 5G presents Women Pioneers of India only on Republic TV.
जब भरोसे की हो बैकिंग तो निवेश का हर फैसला बन जाता है बुलंद। इसीलिए हम खड़े हैं हर निवेश के लिए, हर निवेशक के साथ। SBI Securities.
Investment in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.
टिप चाहिए, पैसा लगाना है तो सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम पे लगाओ। डूबेगा नहीं, जलेगा भी नहीं, कोई खा नहीं जाएगा और मिनिमम 30 साल का रिटर्न देगा। अब इससे बेटर इन्वेस्टमेंट है तो बताओ। सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम, रहो बेफिक्र।
कांग्रेस वो पार्टी है जो निवेशकों को भगाती है।
क्या डर है आपको और किससे डरे हुए हैं जो आप कास्ट सेंसस नहीं करा रहे हैं?
आज 1 करोड़ नौजवान मध्य प्रदेश में बेरोजगार हैं।
किसानों के लिए जो काम भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार ने किया, कांग्रेस ने कभी किया था क्या?
राहुल गांधी को जो है ना पॉलिटिकल एमनीजिया की बीमारी है।
एक कांग्रेस पार्टी ना देश का विकास कर सकती है ना मध्य प्रदेश का विकास।
Powered by बढ़िया है शुद्ध है MDH मिर्ची धनिया हल्दी असली मसाले सच MDH। Co-powered by Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand. Amazing spaces के लिए Green Lamb Laminates, कुछ मेरा कुछ तुम्हारा।
Hello Moto.
Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand, brings you the latest breaking news update from across the country only on Republic TV.
Good morning and welcome. You're watching live and breaking on Republic TV. I'm Nupur Talwar Suri and we begin with a look at the headlines at this hour. The NewsClick scandal explodes. The ED issues fresh summons to Neville Roy Singham in the alleged foreign funding case. It's a big political face-off as Siddaramaia's government revises the dress code, revokes hijab ban in the recruitment exam. Over 150 hours on, rescue operations continue on a war footing as at least 40 workers still remain trapped in Uttarkashi.
Canadian politics has given space to violent and extreme political opinions which advocate separatism from India.
S. Jaishankar tells Justin Trudeau to show proof of the baseless allegations made over Nijjar's killing.
Well, look, he is. I mean, he's a dictator in the sense that he is a guy who runs a country that is a communist country that's based on a form of government totally different than ours.
And after bilateral talks with Xi Jinping, the US president calls the Chinese counterpart a dictator. And operating in the heart of Gaza, Israel gathers more and more evidence against the Hamas to show the world. Well, quickly going across to the big story that we'll be tracking today, the ED has now issued a new set of summons to Neville Roy Singham. This is in the alleged foreign funding case. The summons have been sent through the MEA as Neville Roy Singham is presently in China. Delhi court first issued a letter rogatory to the ED. Now, this comes after last year Chinese authorities had refused to serve summons to Singham. ED has named him as an accused in a money laundering case involving NewsClick funding. 2 months ago, the CBI had filed a case of FCI violations against NewsClick and named Neville Roy Singham as one of the accused. Anuj joins us on the phone line. He has more details on this. Anuj, good morning. Tell us more about the latest summons that have been issued.
So this is the latest what we are breaking at this point in time, that ED Enforcement Directorate has now issued a new set of summons to Neville Roy Singham in the alleged foreign funding case. Let me remind you, the summons have been sent to MEA as Neville Roy Singham is presently in China. That's something what we have been told. On the other hand, let me also tell you, a Delhi court first issued the letter of regulatory to Enforcement Directorate. This comes after the last year Chinese authorities refused to serve someone to Singham. And ED has named him as an accused in the money laundering case involved in NewsClick funding. 2 months ago, let me also remind you, CBI had filed a case of FCRA violation against NewsClick and named Neville Roy Singham as an accused. So that's the latest what we are breaking at this point in time. There's going to be the more trouble for Neville Roy Singham. Earlier, the case was registered, let me tell you, but the fresh summons has been summoned now, has been given now. And we have seen how the agencies was targeting, like if we talk about NewsClick, was on the radar of agencies. We have seen the multiple searches which was conducted. We have seen the arresting. But now this is going to be more trouble on American billionaire, where he has been someone who is presently in China. This is to wait and watch what exactly is going to be the response and when he is going to be here in the national capital, when has to be in front of Enforcement Directorate, where about the money laundering, about the money trail, it will be discussed, it will be questioned.
About the money trail, it will be discussed, it will be questioned rather. The interrogation will be done, the questioning will be done by Neville Roy Singham, that what exactly are the link, where the dots have been already connected by the Enforcement Directorate. That's something what we have been told. Let me remind you that this was CBI who seen in action when click, and later when the money trail, the case has been registered in FCRA. Now the Enforcement Directorate, the agency, has summoned Neville Roy Singham, and this is going to be more and more trouble. But we are just waiting for the update, that what exactly is going to be the update from Neville Roy Singham. He is going to be arrived, what is going to be the date exactly, but the investigation is going to be taken further by the Enforcement Directorate, where the dots have been already connected and the money trail will be coming out, that what exactly were the nexus, who all were involved. If we talk about the international funding, what exactly was the route which was used, and who all are the people that were involved in this money laundering and the international funding. Yes.
All right. Absolutely, as you're pointing out, this is with regards to international funding of the NewsClick website. Now, for the benefit of our viewers, Anuj, could you take us through this entire case and also explain to us the linkage of Neville Roy Singham?
Earlier, we have seen how the CBI, the agency, was in action where the international funding and the propaganda was coming in light, and we have seen multiple such which was done. And finally, what we are understanding as the money trail is coming in light, as the international funding is coming in light, and this was something which was primarily also stated that there are links which is connected. If we talk about the international funding, then now the investigation has been taken ahead, and this is going to be the another agency, that's Enforcement Directorate, who is going to look up into the angle, and that's why Normalise Singham has been summoned for the same. So now what exactly is going to happen if we talk about the next course of action? Now when the dots has been connected and we talk about the international funding, then the people who have been already investigated from there, the things are coming in light, and after their testimony, after the investigation which has been done by the agency, the fresh summon has been given, and this is going to be the Normalise Singham who is going to be interrogated about the international funding. What exactly were the route? Was it through Hawala? And what exactly were the transactions? Who all were the people that were involved? If we talk about the chain that from India to abroad, the international funding as we are talking about, that who all are the people and what exactly is the connection. Earlier it was stated that this is to malign the image of the country and the government also. That is something what exactly the anti-national propaganda which was coming in light. And for this anti-national propaganda, what exactly is the money trail that has to be searched, that has to be looked up by the Enforcement Directorate, and for that only now the Enforcement Directorate is going ahead with the investigation where the fresh summon has been issued, because something is coming in light. Some connection is already there with the Enforcement Directorate. That's something of what we have been told, and related to that only this fresh summon has been issued where Normalise Singham has to be here. The date is yet to be announced. We are just waiting for the official confirmation of the same, that on what date Normalise Singham is going to be here. First, Normalise Singham is going to respond to the Enforcement Directorate that what exactly is his step. If we talk about the legalities, obviously he's going to look into the legalities for the same.
Right. I think Anuj, we're running into some audio trouble with you, but thank you very much for joining us on the broadcast and explaining to us how this process now works. Now, even as the India-Canada diplomatic face-off continues to rage on, in the latest development, the External Affairs Minister has hit out at Canada, asking Justin Trudeau to show proof of the time and again, the baseless allegations that have been made over the Niger killing.
The context is that in Canada, we feel that the Canadian politics has given space to violent and extreme political opinions which advocate separatism from India, including through violent means. And these people have been accommodated in Canadian politics. They are given the freedom to articulate their views. And not just that, it had come to a situation where the diplomats of my country, including the High Commissioner, we've had attacks on the High Commission, smoke bombs thrown at the High Commission. My Consul General and other diplomats were intimidated in public, on record, with no action taken by those who did this. This is a country where there is a previous history. For those who would be familiar with Lockerbie, we had a much bigger incident when an Air India plane, there were bombs put, in fact, on two planes. One fortunately landed before when the bomb went off, but the other one, there were 327 people who died when the plane crashed off Ireland. So given all this, I think it was important that a country like Canada, I mean, we are a democracy, we are a democracy, they are a democracy. But freedom of speech and freedom of expression also comes with a certain responsibility, and the misuse of those freedoms and the toleration of that misuse for political purposes would be, to our mind, very wrong. Now, in the case of Mr. Trudeau, I have discussed it also with my own counterpart. I still do, and we have told them, saying, look, if you have a reason to make such an allegation, please share the evidence with us. We are not ruling out an investigation and looking at anything which they may have to offer. They haven't done so.
And let's go across to our senior executive editor, Abhishek Kapoor, who joins us on the phone line right now. Abhishek, this, of course, has been repeated by the External Affairs Minister yet again, that we still don't have proof and India will only act after there is concrete proof. How has Canada received these?
Well, we have to see how the Canadians receive it. It's unlikely that there's going to be any change of instance, because remember, it's been 5 months, Nupur, and no evidence, not a shred of evidence coming in from the Canadian side, except for multiple motivated and loaded attacks on India's integrity. So I think this is a clear escalation from the Indian side. I mean, a ladder of escalation, in fact, put in place, while earlier we were only indulging in backdoor, behind-the-scenes diplomacy speaking privately to the Canadian side. Now, sources tell us that things really went too far with Justin Trudeau going public again and repeating the same charges without, again, sharing any evidence. So I think India has also decided to really call the bluff of the Canadians, and that's why External Affairs Minister doing this from foreign soil, from London, essentially to tell the West. And remember, the United Kingdom also is part of the Five Eyes network, the intelligence sharing network between United States, United Kingdom, Canada, New Zealand, and Australia. And I think this is a message to the larger community of backers of Canada that it's Canada which has gone rogue, not sharing an iota of evidence. Even now they can share it. And in fact, External Affairs Minister has gone to the extent of saying that India will investigate. Forget about the Canadian investigation. We'll bring our own professionalism to the investigation, which the Canadian side has really failed till now, provided they share something. And that should really put the narrative and the attempts being, or desperate attempts being made by Justin Trudeau to justify himself in their right context.
All right. Abhishek, thank you very much for joining us. So as Abhishek is pointing out, it is unlikely that Canada is going to respond to this comment as well. Do remember that ties between Canada and India have suffered greatly over allegations that have been made by Canada. The head of the UNRWA, the UN Relief Agency for Palestinian Refugees, has confirmed that it has received 23,000 litres of fuel that crossed into Gaza via the Rafah crossing, but called for more to be allowed to enter the besieged territory. The US President Joe Biden has said that he's made it clear to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that a two-state solution was the only answer to resolving the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and that occupying Gaza would be a mistake. The World Health Organization has said that only a quarter of Gaza's hospitals are still functioning, with about 26 out of 36 institutions now closed, either because they have been damaged or because they ran out of fuel. Qatari mediators are seeking to negotiate a deal between the Hamas and Israel that includes the release of around 50 civilian hostages from Gaza in exchange for a 3-day ceasefire. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met members of the Israeli Defense Forces and said that there is no hiding for the Hamas. We will eliminate them all and return the kidnapped. As severe fuel shortage impacts hospitals, generators, provisions of water, sewage treatment plants, communications, and even bakeries in Gaza, Tom White, the director of the UN Relief Agency, has said that in Gaza, only 9% of what they need daily to sustain life-saving activities is being provided. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has said that Israel is a